racism.
What do you mean by systematic racism?
Like, so
not just systematic.
Like, I'm just curious, like, what institutions?
So institutions like the police force, right?
Mm-hmm.
The police force, people say, are institutionally racist. Over here in, I think it was 2007, we had a guy called Bernard Hogan Howe, who was like the head of the Metropolitan Police. And he was the head of it's like being the head of the police in America, right? And he said, well, if people say, our institution is institutionally racist, that's something we're going to have to take on the chin, right? That's what he said as the head of the police. So he knew to some degree that his institution was racist. So institutional racism, I believe, actually exists, but individual like race prejudice also exists, and I think sometimes people get the two misconstrued.
And you can go as far as saying,
but one is more real
as well.
than
banking
the other.
systems have been historically
racist,
like redlining in America, like that was an institutionally racist thing. Do you know what I mean? Like there is institutional racism, and I think people say, "Oh, that's racist." It's like, well, I say the way to attack racism would be institutionally. What are the institutions that enforce, like schools? Or, I don't know, education, where they're teaching, I don't know, a racist, doctrine in school or something like that. I think
for those of us that don't know what redlining is, could you just explain that?
Okay, so redlining was where if you wanted to buy a house, right, in America, certain banks would not give loans to black people, right? They would only give them to white people. So that, as the banking as an institution, became a racist institution because it was not giving loans to black businesses and to black people for them to become wealthy.
Yeah, to go into a bit more.
And when did that stop?
It stopped.
I don't think it stopped.
It did stop.
No, but technically it hasn't.
It has. It has. That's one of the things where even I get looked at a bit wildly at. Like, institutional racism does exist in certain areas, but I think certain things are just, they need to find because redlining doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't exist. It's literally
on paper.
Yeah, on paper. That's what I'm saying. So on paper. So institutionally, even that it has to. We have to find a new, like, covert institution.
No, because I have a cousin who lives in America.
So South Africa was an institutionally racist state.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So institutional racism exists, but I think people need to differentiate between what is institutional racism and what is individual race prejudice.
So I'm just curious with the redlining thing. Like, what happened? So they found that, like, they were lending at different rates.
So basically, to go into a little bit more information. So to put it in a context of this room. What they would do is they would say, the good banks would say, I'm going to give a loan, but only to people who draw a line right through us, over on that side, right? Knowing full well that they put all the black people post-slavery in a certain area, and then cutting off the line of where they would give loans to if you lived there.
Right.
If you lived in the hood, you couldn't get a loan because you lived in the hood.
Right.
But the thing is, it was like a chicken meets egg situation because it's like you put them there forcefully, post whatever, and then after you put them there with no actual other way to go, they can get loans to go live in the middle class areas or the high class areas.
I thought this was in like the 60s.
Yeah.
And
So that was like a long time after slavery, so they could have moved. No.
I mean, but you have to also take.
No, I mean, like, because there was mass migration. I don't know, like, there was mass migrations in the U.S. from the south to the north.
It was.
Yes.
And so you can't say no because a lot of them did.
But it became it was more of a thing where it was if I was to think politically, it was an attack the mindset type of thing where if you know how some people, like, once they're in the hood, that's just their mindset. Right.
And with all
some people eat, sleep, breathe the hood. It doesn't matter where.
And they want to live there for the rest of their. They've grown comfortable. That's where they feel safe now.
Because in my head, like, why would you lend to people that live in the hood? More.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I'm not. Because usually, like, I'd imagine, like, in poor communities, they're not as good at paying back money.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
But imagine more of creating a hood to then say, why would I give people in the hood money?
You know Tulsa, you know the neighborhood?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa,
Black Wall
Oklahoma.
Street.
Black Wall Street. I'm sure, Pearl, you've heard about it. Obviously, you're
Who?
from
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so Black Wall Street was a place in America after slavery where black millionaires existed. There were loads of black millionaires. There were, you know,
was a
business
black
owners.
economy.
They had their own like black economy.
Where was that at?
It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
So in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was this huge town. Like black people owned their own planes. They had their own businesses. They were like multi-millionaires. They knew the stock market, all this kind of stuff. And then what happened was the KKK and like other groups literally burnt the town to the ground, bombed it from the army bombed it from the sky, just totally got rid of that town, like killed everybody in the town. I don't know if you've seen Mississippi Burning, that film called Mississippi Burning. Similar to that. So yeah,
is this something to do with redlining?
No, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know. I'm just answering the question.
No, I'm getting there because the redlining came shortly after that. If you actually look at
it did.
It came after that. After they burned down this black economy, redlining came in.
Where was redlining at? Like what cities?
Worldwide.
It's all over America.
Countrywide.
Yeah.
Countrywide. It was like a 50-state thing where
we have gone off topic, but
we have.
No, I just genuinely I don't know a lot about it.
But yeah, essentially it was a thing where state by state it was statewide. So it was a thing where at the time it just seemed like it was just the right thing to do, but when we look at it, like that's fucked up. And the reason like a lot of the hoods that exist today where they are is because those are the places where the redlining put all those poor people who had no money and no funds to get out of there. So their families have lived there for generations after generations.
Right, but that was like my dad was from the hood and he just like left.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's stopping you from leaving?
The big thing about
let's not get there.
No, I'm saying if you make like good choices and work hard, you can move out.
And it's not.
And that's what my dad was one of 13 kids. He like grew up on the south side of Chicago in like a really bad area.
It's not always.